Peggy, I have a question. I have quite a few oils at my clinic that people are not that familiar with, and they're asking me, and one of those oils is the Copaiba or
That's my
Copaiba.
favorite oil of all times.
Perfect. Maybe you can tell me a little bit more about it so I can share, because it seems to be one of the oils that can benefit our pets a lot. What you
Oh,
got?
I use Copaiba, and it's also pronounced Copaiba. So if you hear it both ways, it's just a difference between if you're the Brazilians call it Copaiba, and Americans sometimes use it as Copaiba. But the cool thing about it, Linda, is that Copaiba actually works to support the cardiovascular system, the immune system, the digestive system, the nervous system, and the respiratory system. And so I use it on a daily basis. And I had a dog that I picked up from a pound a couple years ago. He's my favorite. You'll see pictures of him everywhere on this site. And he actually had a sore on his front leg. I think what happened is that when they did the surgery, that they do just before they release a male dog to adoption, they must have nicked a bone or something. And so he kind of got this like infection in front of there. And it took me 6 months to actually figure out that he was having a problem because he's an Australian Shepherd, right? And he's a mix, I'm sure. And he would just pull his leg up, like the Irish setters that pull their leg up. And so he would do that and so it was 6 months before I realized that there was something wrong with. One day he jumped off the bed and he just came yelping to me. So I took him to the vet, and yeah, there was an infection on there. And of course they did antibiotics and other things like that. But I started giving him Copaiba, and he I actually also gave him DDR Prime, which is another one of my favorite ones that we can talk about later. But he took the DDR Prime for about 2 weeks, and then he refused it. And so that's the cool thing about pets, is that they'll know what they want and what they don't want. And so if he refused it, I just stopped giving it to him. And now to this day, which is like 4 years later, he takes Copaiba every morning, and he literally takes it from me out of my hands. Now I gave my German Shepherd that the other day, and he ate half of it and didn't particularly like it the way I was giving it to him. But Marco, he loves it. Let me show you. Come back. There you go. This is Copaiba capsules. So the same thing that you could put in, in the liquid.
He's
But
licking
this
his
is
lip.
here. You just,
Oh,
that's
Marco.
it, And so I know that he likes it because he takes it and he needs it. And so what that is doing is giving him the cardiovascular that he needs, particularly the bone, he's keeping the immune system working. And yeah, and sometimes when he really needs it, and I open the bottle, and he'll come running across the room with it.
Oh,
So
that's so great.
do you have any other, does that cover it? Do you have any other questions?
I think people would like to know about the topical use, if possible.
Okay. So when you work with a dog, and we've covered this, or we'll cover it a lot of times, you have to let them choose the oil. So this is one of Marco's favorite. Come by. Come by. Let me think about that, Marco.
Love
Ooh,
the way he shows up.
now see how he pulled away, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't want it. He still likes it. Come on. Come here. No, come by. Come by. So in this one, he'll just lick it right off my hand. See how he'll lick it off right my hand? So I know that he likes it.
Yeah.
And this happens not to be Copaiba. But one of the myths is don't put the oils on your hands and pet your dogs. Well, you know, there's certain oils that you probably don't want to do that with, but I'm just massaging his ears. And the reason I'm doing that is so that he can have the smell of it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, times you can put them on the paws. And that's how I use external. The cool thing I read the other day when the vet was talking about it is that he definitely puts the oil in somewhere where the animal can lick it off if it's supposed to be taken internally. So
Okay.
with the Copaiba, if you want to take the capsule, but he likes the oil. Now, if he like goes completely across the room and doesn't want to have anything to do with it, then remember that you don't want to apply the oils to them.
That's right. And then do you ever dilute that before you put it on your hand? Maybe if it was a kitty, you
If it
might.
was a kitty, and it probably should, I don't because, and then don't forget that my dog has been around it for, well,
That's right.
he's 5 years old, so he's been around essential oils for the last,
Yeah. There's always, that's why we try to educate ourselves and everybody else for what's appropriate for this case and what's not, you know.
right,
I
right,
know I had a kitty that I was giving some oils to, and I would just put it down the back so that he wasn't licking it off because he would get very licky. We didn't
yeah.
want so much licking. So
And-
I would just put it on my finger and just roll it down his back, and he'd be like, okay.
Ooh, that
Very,
feels
very
so good
dilute with a cat. You just could dilute, 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 dilute with a cat. So
with
that's
a
a
cat.
whole different subject. So if we're back to Copaiba, I have one more question. Can we diffuse Copaiba? And is it is that useful?
You can definitely diffuse Copaiba. The thing to remember is that when you're diffusing the oils, they affect us almost immediately through the olfactor. Even if
Mhm.
you don't have a sense of smell. Isn't that crazy?
I didn't know that.
Even
Yeah.
if you don't have the sense of smell, they're still going over that olfactor bulb and getting into your brain. And so it's a really good thing. Now, the smell of Copaiba is kind of woodsy and so I don't know if that would be the best to diffuse, but if,
Yeah.
you could definitely diffuse them. And
Okay. It's a possibility.
it's ability.
Cool. Thank you.